everyone, Tally and Farrell here from Bored of It, and welcome to our monthly look back video for September 2021.
Now, if you're new to the channel, essentially because we only get to review a few games a month, we do our monthly look back video so we can go over some of the things we've played and discuss them. And maybe this will be where we talk about games we didn't like or old games that we've played again or things of that nature, but it just lets us discuss and get your input and have a nice discussion about different board games other than our reviews. And if you have seen this before, then welcome back and thanks for watching. So one thing we do is we give each game an award, and that represents our experience with it, and then we discuss it. So without further ado, let's jump to the games. So our first award is This Game is Stupid award, and that goes to The Quacks of Quedlinburg. And the main reason that it gets this award is not because I actually think it's stupid, but because I say that at least once per game every time we play when I get a bad draw.
Yeah, I mean, I strongly disagree with this award name because I love quacks.
Go on then, why don't you explain it quickly?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows what Quacks of Quedlinburg is, but just in case you don't, it's a push your luck game where you are a quack doctor in Quedlinburg in ye olde days, and you're essentially making a potion with different ingredients, and you don't want your pot to explode. So you'll be adding various chips with different values on them to your personal bag that represents different ingredients. And essentially you pull a chip out of the bag, place it on your cauldron, and the value on it determines how many spaces around the cauldron you can move around. Mm-hmm. And the overall goal is to get as far around the cauldron as possible. That will get you more points without getting a value of 7 or more of cherry bombs. You don't want them. They make your pot explode.
More than 7.
Plus 7, more than 7, yeah.
But the reason that we've decided to talk about this is because we recently got the Alchemist expansion, which is the second expansion. Mm-hmm. So we're mostly going to be talking about that. But we managed to get everything into the main box. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's this box. And so what does it add?
So you have a little alchemist glass. You're a scientist. You should tell what it is.
Well, yeah, it's like, I can't remember.
Science jar. And you're making essences, basically. So as well as you're treating different patients, and they are chosen at the beginning of the game, and different players might be treating different patients. But they essentially get you different kinds of bonuses throughout the game, and you come to the end of each round, and you say, okay, yep, it's based on the amount of different coloured chips in your pot.
Which I really like.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then you get 3 essences if you have 3 different coloured chips. Then if your cherry bombs equal exactly 7, then you get more essence. And if the people around you, if their pot exploded, you get more essence. And the further down the pot, it's not a pot, glass flask, that you can go, the better bonuses you're going to get. So it's just something else to think about. Yeah. I think it's quite interesting because it can push you a bit in a different direction to the normal base game because you're getting those essences for having different coloured chips. Whereas sometimes our strategies might be to lean in really hard to a particular coloured chip. Yeah. So with the base set, go for the pumpkins and the toad, whatever that, I think it's a mushroom. Yeah. Because they combo off each other. Whereas with the alchemists, it's kind of pushing you to get different colours. So it's quite interesting there, whether you lean into the recipe books, but then you're kind of doing yourself over with the alchemist. Yeah,
I think I really like you say, that it pushes you to get different colours because then you really get a variety of effects, and it does push you. Like I personally would, like you say, always focus on 2 or 3, and it really pushes you to try and get like multiples of each colour. And also just what these patients that you're trying to cure, the things they give you are quite interesting. Like the last one we played was, I think we both had it, where it lets you buy like a 3rd chip rather than just getting 2 at the end of the round. And depending how much you fill up this flask, you get better value. You can buy a better value chip. So then suddenly your bag's getting like overloaded with chips because you're getting 3 every round instead of 2. And then what was the one we had before that? Because I really liked mine, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, I can't remember.
You did like the carrot nose or something, didn't you?
Yeah.
Pumpkin. No, you did pumpkin one?
I can't remember exactly what it did. Oh, that was it. You could use the essences that you had
you can spend it, right?
captured at the end of each round, mid-game. So you could say, okay, I'm in the middle of my round, I'm going to spend 2 essences, and I think you could maybe move the chips further forward than they would usually be. It was like to the next ruby
space or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. Something like that, yeah.
But they're all pretty interesting, actually, and it's like generally a tough decision to choose between these patients, although we haven't played with that many yet.
No.
And even better, it adds a lot more of the fortune teller cards, so now there's a lot more variety as well. Yeah. So this is actually one of our most played games, so we've like seen all the cards.
Yeah.
So that was quite nice. But it's a much more impressive expansion, I think, than the first one. I like this a lot more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Although I guess we got the first expansion to get that 5th player map.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
And then it was pandemic, so we never played with 5 people.
Yeah, we did, because we got Quacks.
Oh yeah, we did.
I really loved it, and it became my new favourite game that I was obsessed with. So we immediately ordered the expansion because we knew we were going to a dinner party with 5 people. I want to play Quacks.
Yeah,
so
and you made everyone play Quacks.
Herb Witches expansion. Yeah, I quite like Herb Witches, but yeah, Alchemist is probably better. And you can play them together, right? We just haven't. You can play all 3 base game. Herb Witches and Alchemist.
Well, technically we use Loco Weed from the Herb Witches expansion all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
So mix and match bits and pieces. But yeah, no, I mean, I do really like Quacks as well. It's just that because I guess prefer...
You're a gambler.
Well, yeah. So I prefer skill-based games because I can measure it off my own back, but also I'm a gambler. So I'll always push, and like if I get particularly unlucky, I just won't stop or just keep pushing, so I explode a lot. I just get really frustrated. So I'm just always like, this is a stupid game.
Yeah.
When I get like 7 cherry bombs in the first like 5 chips.
Whereas I love it because it's the only thing that I can actually have a good chance of beating Farrah.
Yeah, it's probably the only game you've won more times.
Because it's based on luck.
Well, also because I'm a gambler, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Quacks of Quedlinburg and mainly the Alchemist expansion, but that gets this game is Stupid Award. So we'll go on to the next one. So next up we have the award, which is entitled the Tribal Cornish Pasty Award. And that will go to Tinner's Trail. As you can see, the guy is holding a Cornish pasty.
Nice.
And if you don't know what Cornish pasty is, it's just like a type of pie that's self-encased in many ways from Cornwall, which is a region of England.
Meat and stew things in there, and it's like completely wrapped in pastry, so nothing drips out. And
the reason for the award is that in this game, you can, as an action, sell Cornish pasties. And just because there's a BBC article about how this... What would you describe Greg's as? Like a chain.
I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone. It might be from the north of England.
No, but what does it sell? Like
a chain, a high street chain bakery that sells hot goods and snacks.
Yeah, like sausage rolls and pies and things like that. Not like donuts or whatever.
Shout out to Greg's. It's pretty good.
Like meat and pie type stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've been trying to get into Cornwall. And they can't because Cornish people just want Cornish pasties and they think anything else is hedonistic.
Yeah.
So there was actually a BBC article saying that like it's tribal down there, like the tribal Cornish pasties, and they won't allow anything else in.
Fair enough.
So yeah, but Tinner's Trail as a game is set in Cornwall, and it's about tin and copper mining in the 1800s. It's Mark Morse game, who's best known for Brass Birmingham, Brass Lancashire, and we already had one game this year from him that we really enjoyed, which was Anno 1800. Mm-hmm. And this is actually a remake. So this is a Kickstarter from Alley Cat Games. And it's an older game. I think it was 2008 or something. And they've just remade it and freshened it up and put some nice components in there. And so this arrived like a week or 2 ago. And we've had a few games. And we actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's interesting because it's like a Euro game with a bit of luck. Because what you're doing is... in a round, you'll buy some mines, and then those mines will have some tin and copper, and then you'll mine it, and then at the end of a round, you will sell all the tin and copper you have, and the price of each will fluctuate. You roll some dice at the beginning of a round, that sets the price. And then with all this money, you can invest it into victory points. So you're basically just buying victory points, or you can keep some or all of it back to spend on things in the next round, like bidding for more mines. And that's generally it. And then you want to just have the most victory points at the end. But the wrinkle is that the mines are often random in what they have. They're like face down tiles. And so you can bid and nobody knows what's in it, and you flip, and then suddenly there's 4 waters and 1 tin and 1 copper, which is terrible because water makes it more expensive to get your metals out of the mine. So there's a few other wrinkles, like there's a lot of different like machineries you can buy that are about removing water or extracting more metal at once or things like this. So it's like quite tactical when you take what little kind of piece, like the boats or the trains, where you bid, you can. And one thing that's really interesting is you have like this action point system. So each action has a set price and you have like 10 points to spend. But if you start an auction, only the person that wins it has to spend their action points. So you can like bid for a mine where someone else is, that you know that they'll like, because they can make a chain of mines and you can get effects by putting like adits or trains down or whatever that affect other regions. And you can force them to bid on it, like spend money on it, drive the price up, and then they also spend the action points, and then you can do multiple actions till you catch up with them.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting, and obviously it's good fun. We're a big fan of auction games, so we really like that part.
Yeah. It's interesting as well, isn't it? Because there's 3 rounds, right? 4. And you actually spend your money on victory points. So there's every round that decision of, should I buy victory points now or save my money for the next round because I want to buy more mines, or I want to have the money in case someone goes after a mine that I want and they're driving the price up. So that's really interesting.
I think, the important thing to note is that the points become less valuable the later the round. So that's why it's like you could spend all of your money in the first round and get like way more points than you'll get in the 4th round, when you still will spend all your money, but then you can't bid the next round. So there's different things. Like in our last game, actually, I didn't extract as much metal as anyone else did. And so I was like, I'm in trouble here. So what I did is I spent all of my money on victory points to get as close as possible, because I had like so much metal from the mines I had bought left in them that I was like, I don't need to buy another mine next round. I can just spend it like getting the water out and mining. Yeah. And then we came back in it because I was like way behind you guys, and then we ended up within like I think 8 spaces of each other.
Yeah, it was really close.
Us and the other person.
Yeah, but throughout the game it had been quite fluctuating who was in the lead. And I mean, we love games like that, right, where you really don't know who is going to be the winner at the end. Yeah. And even though you're kind of counting money and points up as you go along, so you think you know who's in the lead with this game. So it's not like Brass Birmingham where you literally are counting up points at the end, but it still taps into that because actually things can really fluctuate and change. Yeah. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's what's interesting, because it's like kind of an economic Master and Wallace game, but there's all this luck where it's interesting because people can be way ahead, and if all things were equal, they would stay ahead. But because if you spend too much money on a mine that is then worthless, it can sink you. If I don't know, say, because copper really fluctuates, I think, and tin's really stable, relatively. So you can be, say, on the lower end of copper, and you can have a lot of copper, and you say, well, I'll hold out for next round and save it all to get a bit more because there's more chance of it being higher. And then it goes even lower, and suddenly you're stuck in everything you have, and you're getting no money for it. Yeah. But yeah, it's really cool. It's like a really cool, more simple economic game. We really enjoyed it. Yeah. I don't think there's too much hidden depth there. You kind of.
There's a few things you can do though. Like if you.
No, I don't mean it's not interesting. I just mean I feel like I've puzzled it out now. The randomness is what keeps it interesting every time you play. But it's not like you're going to find I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Evolve in some ways.
No, that's true. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have really different experiences when we play out. I think we've got all of the experiences now. But it'll just be a case of playing with different people, and like you said, the auctions. But what I really like, I always like games that are based on real places and have a bit of like real history in them. If I can learn something about somewhere in the world, then I'm happy with that. So I like that element of it. And the components are really, really lovely. Everything's really great quality. And you said it was a pretty great price.
It's a really like decent price if you can pick it up. And it's just, if you want like a little lighter game, like this is, it's a bit lighter, it's a little bit quicker. The actions are quite simple. It's very easy to explain. And the components, everything's like silk screen printed. So they will have little like, little images on them. And it's a really high quality production in a smaller than average box for a smaller than average price. So I think it's definitely a recommendation from us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say, or shall we?
No.
Well, just that one of the actions is sell a Cornish pasty and get £1, which is hilarious.
What more do you want in a game? Yeah. Quite frankly.
I'm just sad that there's not Cornish pasty wooden tokens.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, like you get 5 at the start of the game and you can like give them away.
Yeah.
But so we'll move on to the next game. But that was the Tribal Cornish Pasty Award.
So next up, we have the Speaking Trumpet for Shouting at People Award. And that goes to Unfathomable. I'll let Farrell explain the award in just a second after I've explained the game.
Go for it.
But this is essentially a hidden role game. It's set on a 20th century ocean liner, and it's from the Lovecraftian universe of Arkham Horror. So set with kind of, all of those different characters, and the deep ones are coming to attack the ship essentially. And if you play as a human, you're trying to get the ship to make it to Boston. But then some players are going to be the traitors, and they're going to either be hybrids or cultists. Yeah. And remind me which way around it is, but one of them wants to sink the ship, but the hybrids want to sink the ship before it gets to Boston, and the cultists want the ship to make it nearly to Boston, but they still want to sink it. So it adds a bit of a variability in what people are trying to do, essentially.
And this is famously kind of reskin/reprint of Battlestar Galactica, the board game, which was a crazy popular board game, very highly sought after. Prices go for a lot. It's a second-hand market because it's out of print because of licensing issues. So this is Fantasy Flight's kind of attempt to get it back out there. And we actually just put out a review of this. So if you're interested, you can check that out, and we'll put the link somewhere above.
Yeah.
But the award for Speaking Trumpet,
for shouting at people,
is because if you play as the captain, the item you get is a speaking trumpet, which when we first played, the group found just kind of hilarious to have a speaking trumpet. And then on top of that, this game makes you yell at a lot of people and accuse people of being traitors and point fingers at each other. So speaking trumpet for shouting at people. I think the general consensus from our review was that it's a pretty unpredictable game because there's a lot of randomness and chance. And I think what's kind of weird about it is generally you would expect hidden trader games to be balanced so that each side has like an equal chance, but it at least doesn't feel like it in here because it's one of like the Arkham Horror games in that universe. It plays like one where everything that happens is like kind of negative and it's about negating the badness. But then on top of that, you add in like multiple people who are actively trying to tank it.
Yeah, because usually in those games you're working together, right?
Yeah. So it just came across as like sometimes just through random luck, the game can almost be over with almost no input from the traitors. And other times, like a little bit of bad luck with the traitors means there's like no way the human's going to win. I just think that it's just unpredictable. Like you could have really amazing, tense games with like great stories coming out of it and, a bit of role playing and fun. Or you can just have games that you get like 6 turns in and it's obvious that the humans are never going to do it.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. So, but
quite long, right? So you've
that's a good
played more
point.
than me. Like I've only played a couple of times, but you've taken it out and about on a road trip and played with different people. But you said it can last.
Yeah, up to
really, like, long,
it's like
hours.
2 to 4 hours is playtime, and I think that's actually the key criticism, because it just does not need to be that long. Because unless someone reveals as a traitor the like, say the turn, like the round of everyone, just what you do will not change, because you're always doing the same things, because it's more of like a tower defense game if you're the humans, because all you have to do is survive until you get to Boston. Mm-hmm. What you're doing doesn't really change. The dynamic doesn't evolve in any way. So I really don't understand why it's become like a 4-hour game.
Yeah.
Because like we've said that if you could cut like everything in half, like the starting resources and the conditions for the traders to win, the journey time, it would be ideal. I don't know. This is the problem, is I don't know if it would break the game. So I'm like, anxious about trying it, but that would be better, because one of the issues is that because it's like kind of this like, like popcorn and beer game, like beer and pretzels game, you can have a lot of fun. You can like have this trader and yell at people. If it was sub 2 hours, I think it would work. It would be a lot better, because if you have a bad game, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But if you're doing it and it drags on for like 3.5 hours, and you know that the humans aren't going to win, and it's just being like dragged out. Yeah,
because it is, like you said, beer and popcorn game. I'm not going to say it's like a party game, because it's not, but it has that element of being very sociable, because it goes up to 6 players, and it is about being the traitor and social deduction and all of that. So it just doesn't feel right that it's so long.
Yeah. I think the thing is, this is a thing, again, it's fine if everything's tense and tight and equal. You can have incredible games of this and the time won't matter. But it's just, we've also had games where it's like clear from very early on, just because of pure bad luck, that the humans will never win. Yeah. And then it's just this awkward thing of it's like, well, we can't give up and reset it because it's too long to like play again. Yeah. But then you're also just dragging on, kind of knowing that like you're not going to win.
And I think because you don't really do very much on your turn, right? So we said this in our review, but we said it's about 80 to 85% admin. And the decisions you make by yourself is over in a flash. So it gets around to you and you can do 2 things. And usually that just is as simple as, okay, I'm going to move rooms. That's one action. And then fight a monster. And then that's it. And then you're doing the Mythos card and doing all of the like moving trackers around. So I think that also taps into the fact why it can feel a bit too long, because you yourself actually don't make that many decisions or do very much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Like some games are fine to just, have a little bit of role playing and story elements and stuff like that. But then if you just know that you're never going to win, it's a double like whammy of just not having a great time every game. But then, like you said, some games can be really amazing.
Yeah. So what do you like about it then? when you played?
I think it's very easy to pick up, and first game was with 2 non-gamers. And they picked it up very easily, so it's not like you have to have a lot of experience with a lot of like deep strategy games or anything like that. I think the setting is pretty cool on an ocean liner. I mean, I'm a big fan of that. Traveling and I just like boats really. The characters are all like really cool as well. You look through the character sheets and you really want to try and beat all of them, because they all have really cool backstories. They're very diverse, so that's really cool.
Well, you say that, but you always inevitably pick any character that comes with a dog.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you see a character with a dog, that's who you're going to be. Yeah. It was the same in the Arkham Horror Living card game, when there was a guy who, I think it was Ashcan Pete, and he has his little dog.
That's true, yeah.
Ashcan, someone. Yeah, there's his dog, and you're just like, I'm just going to be this guy.
Well, I didn't like it when the dog gets taken out of the game, because he protects you. That makes me sad. But yeah.
Yep. But yeah, no, I really like, so just to run through, the Mythos cards you draw that have like crises, and you read about, it's like there's a little bit of story and you have to like make choices or try and pass a check. these are really thematic, and they're like one of the best parts of the game, and they happen at the end of every turn. And it's just like sometimes they're darkly humorous as well.
Yeah.
So those are always fun. I really like the skill check system, which is how the traitors stamp on the game, because everyone puts cards in the middle face down to try and pass a check. And you also add random cards from a deck that's made up of like 2 of every type.
Yeah.
So then
that is quite unique as well. I haven't really seen anything like that in any other games.
But yeah, so there's some like really good core mechanics here. It's just that, it's like the length, I think, exacerbates everything. And there's just, and the unpredictableness of it is the other thing which isn't something doesn't have to be balanced, but it would be better if it was a 4-hour game that was balanced.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the Speaking Trumpet Award for Unfathomable, and we'll move on to the next game.
So, moving on to the next award and the next game, we have the award for Chess for the Under 50s, and that goes to Summon Awards.
Second edition. And it gets that prestigious award because I guess it's kind of a piss take on my mum, because she's like got super into the chess the last year or two. And this is actually a very chess-like game. And whenever we see it, she forces us to play chess non-stop. And this just really reminds me of chess.
Yeah, might have a game this weekend.
Of what? Chess for this?
Chess.
Yeah, well, probably. So Summoner Wars is, a second edition of a game. And it's basically, I think it's like, you could say it's like a deck building game. But you come with like pre-programmed decks, but you can also build them if you want. But essentially it's like a head-to-head card battling game, and you have like this grid of a map, and the kind of chess pieces are cards, and you move them around. And it's actually like really simple to explain, really simple to play, because all the information is on the cards, which is actually one of the highlights of it, that you can kind of just pick it up and play within 5 minutes with a new person. And it's just that the goal is you both have a summoner. Whoever kills the other summoner wins. And then everything else...
like the king.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess the wrinkle here is that the summoner, or the king, is like the most powerful piece in the game. And it kind of using that power obviously means that you have to get them more in the fray than you'd like. But it's kind of like, so you start and then you'll like spend some magic power to summon some new troops maybe. Then you can move them around, then you attack. Then you can like discard some cards to get some magic back. And then, you kind of like draw back up.
Yeah, but the part of the puzzle is the fact that you can only move a certain amount of cards, a certain amount of spaces, and you can only attack a certain amount. So when further on to the game, when you have more troops cards out on your map, you have to really consider who you want to move, where do you want to move them to, because you only can move 2 spaces. Who do you want to attack with, and are you happy to sort of sacrifice that troop because the next person's going to just take them out the next time? And that's where the limitations provide the puzzle, I think. Yeah,
it's very much it's like, where are people, where should you move to, who should you move where, and because you have ranged and melee people, so some need to be close, some can be far away. And there's all this stuff and there's a few structures you can build as well. It's just, it's a lot of thinking, like strategy, and like a little bit of risk, because you do roll dice for the combat. But it took you by surprise, I think.
Yeah.
How much you enjoyed it.
Surprise hit for me. I don't know. I guess I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anything with this kind of artwork, a bit more fantastical, it just doesn't grab me. I really need to learn to not judge book by its cover, but it's just not typically my thing. And then you're saying it's like a battle game, and you have to have troops. It just doesn't sound like my thing. And then when we got to playing, and it was a really tense battle, wasn't it? Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's quite good. It's quite good, because I suppose it is more of a puzzle, and really enjoyed it. It's not similar in the gameplay or anything, but it reminded me of Undaunted, because whenever we get Undaunted out, it's always that one of us thinks the game might be over quite quickly because of the different scenario setups, and then it's like a really intense battle for over an hour that neither of us were expecting. We're both sweating for every time, and it did really remind me of that because it's sort of head to head, and it seemed like in one instance, I think you were going to beat me. I felt like you were going to beat me really easily, but I managed to ward you off for a while, and I won in the end, didn't I?
Yes. Annoyingly. You won the first game, and then you were like, I like this game.
Yeah, exactly. I managed to like hold you off and turn it around, and it just was like, a really good battle.
What I would say as well is they could also have the award for most misleading playtime, because it says 40 to 60 minutes here, and I think on Board Game Geek it says 30 to 60, and I don't think I've only had one game come in under an hour.
Yeah.
And like ours are like 2 hours long. So it's just like so tense and tactical. And the one game that I was under was when it was the first time I've taught a friend how to play. And I like blitzkrieged him in about 15 minutes. He just got absolutely... Then the next game went down to the wire like for like an hour and a half or whatever. But we should say one of the best parts is that it comes with 6 like decks and like summoners. And they all play like completely differently within the basic rule set. And they all have like really different strategies, and even like strategies within strategies, because the cards you draw are like random when they come up. So one time you'll like really use these people from your faction. Other times you'll never see them. You'll be using other people.
Yeah.
And they just all feel really different, and it's really cool. And I was pleasantly surprised as well. I only mainly bought this because it got a lot of praise, but I didn't really expect to like it as much as I did.
Yeah.
And it's something I really look forward to playing, which is like a really nice head-to-head game.
Yeah, and all of the different... So you have... not all of your troops are unique or anything, but you have a variety of troops that you can employ, and they all have different powers. So again, it just taps into the puzzle, because some might be... I played with a faction last time that was... If you're next to someone that gets killed in that round, then you add extra damage. So then it's also just adding in that extra element of like, okay, if I move that one there, hopefully that person got killed and I can put more damage on that person. So the fact that you have the unique factions as well that you can, we're going to be like exploring all of the different factions and strategies for like a long time, right? And it will feel fresh for a long time, I think.
Exactly. And then you can just buy the expansion ones. Nice. Because they just keep releasing new factions. Because it's like this, like, you have different ones.
Yeah, you just swap them in. It's an easy thing to do. Yeah.
I would say the only negative about it, the worst thing, is that the box is like way bigger than it needs to be.
Yes.
Because
there's not many components.
All it is like 6 moderately sized decks of cards, a board, and like a bunch of tokens that I could probably fit in like the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
And then it's got like a full size box. Because I guess the size of the board, but it just really doesn't need to be this big, which is a shame. Yeah. Because you could definitely like compact this down into a lot less. Yeah.
When you're limited on space, we need smaller, thinner, more compact boxes where applicable.
This is definitely a recommendation though, for sure. But so on to the next game.
So the next award is I'd rather be unemployed than work here. And that goes to Kanban EV, which is actually one of my favourite games.
It'd be in your top 3, I expect.
Absolutely. And the reason... Oh my God, it's so big. The reason it gets this award is because there is a person called Sandra who works in the factory that this game is set in, and she basically comes around and grades all of your work every round, and she can be very mean and take a lot of points away from you.
Well, she's your boss.
She is your boss, to be fair.
Yeah.
But she's very
critical.
negative. She's very critical and taking a lot of points away.
It makes work life very stressful.
Absolutely.
I have to say.
Yeah.
Sandra.
So this is a crunchy Euro game by Vital Lacerda. So obviously quite complex, heavy game with a lot of interlinking mechanisms. It's set in a electronic vehicle factory, and you are basically a rookie worker who has to go and work in all the different departments. So you have design, logistics, or warehouse. You've got the admin, test track. Can't remember the exact names of all of the different
we've played this like 10 times and I still can't remember the names of them.
But essentially, there's a little bit of, it's like worker placement in the beginning to choose which place you're going to go to. And and you are basically going through the process of making electronic vehicles, from gathering the designs to gathering the parts, building them, testing them.
Yeah.
And it's classic Vettel Lacerda, where you're getting points from everywhere, so kind of always kind of moving around the victory point track.
And everything interlinks seamlessly with everything else.
Exactly.
Although I would say this is actually the most, I haven't played all of his games, we're big fans, but it's the most direct almost, because it's like you want to get designs and you want to get car parts, because with those you can push cars out, or you can upgrade designs, or you can take cars out of the track that you've pushed off the track. So it's like you need to get designs, you need to get car parts, then you spend them to do things, and then eventually you'll get cars and upgraded designs, and then you like return to the loop, rather than like, oh, I could go over here and go over there.
During which you do things might be a bit different.
You can,
the ultimate end goal is to get cars in your personal garage. You might go and get parts first, maybe you'll risk that, or go and get designs first. But essentially, you're on that track. The end goal is the same for everyone. You want to get cars in your garage.
100%. So why is it one of your favourite games? What do you like about it so much?
The aesthetics, I just love. That's not the main reason. That sounds a bit shallow, but I just think it looks so nice on the table. The components are amazing, like all of the different unique wooden cars. And I think maybe it is because it all interlinks so seamlessly. I find it satisfying but challenging at the same time.
Yeah.
So just deciding and weighing up whether you might go and take my worker placement spot that I want, but I could risk and actually go to somewhere else first, but then you could steal the car that I want. But it's so seamless. I don't know. I find it hard to describe and put into words why I like it so much. It just, something about it just satisfied me, I think.
Probably because it's the only Euro you've ever won.
That might have something to do with it, yeah. Just think it's just clean, and I don't know. I think the Sandra mechanism is really unique as well, even though she's absolutely brutal.
Well, we played this like this week, which is why it's on here.
Yes.
After not playing it for like many, many months. And also just to note, we actually have a review of this out. If you want to like actually know everything in depth and our thoughts, and see the dogs dressed up like work people.
We have a playthrough as well.
Oh yeah, we also have a playthrough. That's a good point. Hard to keep track. But yeah, it's a really strong game. But yeah, what I was going to say is we played this week and you got absolutely smashed by Sandra because you just did not. So the way it works is you have to like train in each department on top of like doing all the other stuff. And you get limited actions, obviously. So there's a balance of like when you do that, and you can use homework books to like move it without taking action, blah, blah, blah. And you try to go for a new strategy of just ignoring it and spending all of your shifts like doing actual work. And so you just got like negative 50 points from Sandra. And then at the end of the game, I also won the most trained in every department. So it's just like a massive swing of points.
Yeah, I tried that once. I'm not going to do it again. I just thought, I think it was a combination of being a bit rusty, because I think when we first got it, we played it a fair amount, and now it's been like a 6-month break or something.
I was super rusty the first like 20
minutes.
minutes.
Though to be fair, it's not that we were like rusty on the rules. I think we remembered the rules quite quickly, but I was just rusty on the strategy and what we should be doing. And in combination, I tried to kind of do a new strategy where I ignored the training in the beginning. I thought once I'd like got cars and upgrades in my garage, I thought I could then sort of do the training after that, but there just wasn't really time in the game. It didn't work. So always do your training, guys. Otherwise, Sandra, she must have taken, I've lost count how many points she took off me. But I just think that is, it's brutal, but it's a really unique mechanism, I think. And I think it's really cool. I think it's part of the reason why I like it, because you have to make that decision like, oh, should I spend a shift training in this department? Or should I not bother? Should I do this thing?
What I love is you can offensively train. So like you can just go somewhere right before Sandra gets there and train to make the other players lose like 6 points.
Yeah.
And so you're like safe. It's great.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is there's actually a variant called Nice Sandra where she only gives you like, I can't remember, like presents or points if you do really well. And I think we played with it once, and it makes the game feel a lot more boring and empty.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want it so brutal, I think it's fine. But we just found it took the edge out of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's lovely, but it just becomes, I don't want to say just like any other Euro, but sort of is like a really, like any other Euro
mechanic.
That's really nice
Such
looking.
a good mechanic.
With the Sandra mechanic, it just really elevates it to be something else, I think.
Yeah. All right. So, that was Kanban. And I would rather be unemployed than work there. And that also comes from the fact that I am currently finished my science contract. So now I'm just sitting around at home all day, not doing much.
You are legit unemployed.
Yeah. So I'd definitely rather be unemployed than have Sandra shout at me all day. That was Kanban EV, and we have the playthrough and the review if you want to know more. So please check those out. So we come on to the final game, and the award is the Crocodile Skin Handbag for Fire by Freedom Freeze. And the reason that it wins that award is because there is a disturbing amount of crocodile murder in this game.
Yeah, that does make me sad.
Including a really dark card that's Crocodile Sacrifice, and it gets you victory points.
Yeah.
So it's pretty grim. But besides that grimness, we actually really like Fire.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most interesting things I've played in a while. For me, I don't know. I think you don't agree.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, I think you like it less than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get on to that.
So what it is what's great about it as well is that it's actually quite simple. It's really simple to explain because on your turn, all you do is you either play a card from your hand, you buy a card from the market, or you can do administration, which is where you get some money and you take some cards back, and then if you want more cards from your discard, you pay more, and so on. And the whole game is set in ancient Egypt, and you're kind of terraforming the land, getting rid of the swamps. You're creating fertile cropland, and you're basically trying to build stuff to impress the pharaoh. And the victory points is like pharaoh points, and whoever impresses the pharaoh the most wins. And it's all done through this card play, where each card, aside from the fact that you start with 3 cards that are the same, the farmers, and then you also start with road card and settlement card. Every card that you can get from the marketplace after that is unique, and they all do different things. And it's just this really interesting game where it comes with all these wonderful components. So there's little wooden crocodiles that you put all over the board at the start, and you move them as you cultivate the land and make it more fertile. There's all these different building blocks that relate to different things. There's bridges, and because it's this shuffling card market, if you paid Power Grid, it's basically the same kind of thing, the same market, which is also by Freedom Freeze. Oh. And so because of the way it works, and because other people might buy cards, or if someone does their taking their cards back action, cards will get kicked out of the market to move the game along. You might not see some cards in a game, and so different games will have completely different trajectories because of all these, every card being unique and you having all these different components. And it sounds like it would be really complex, but it's not, because they all just do really simple stuff. The base of everything you're doing is simple, and you just check this wine list for cards, and you're like, oh, okay, so this gives me $5, and it is dollars for some reason.
Yeah, that is strange.
So go on then. Why are you less impressed than me?
No, I do. I liked it a lot more on the second and third games, because we did play 2 games of this in one night, so I don't dislike it at all. The first game, it just didn't grab me as much as it did for you, but I think it was my own fault and the way that I went with the strategy, which wasn't really a strategy, actually. It was just not playing the game, because what I was doing was...
But it was really close, though, somehow.
Yeah, but it just became, I don't want to say boring, that's a bit strong, but essentially what I was doing is, because you have to pay to get your cards back that you've played, or some of your cards back that you've played, every time you do administration, I was saving up all my money to get the cards back that I'd already played, because some of them were quite strong cards and they did get me a lot of victory points. But I was essentially just getting to administration, spending all my money on getting the cards I just played back, because I knew that they would sort of guarantee me points. And it just got a bit dry and boring doing that strategy when you were buying a lot of cards from the markets and doing, now I'm going to build a quarry, now I get to build a palace, and I was just doing the sort of the same things over and over again.
I'm going to place a farmer.
Yeah, I was just doing farmer all the time.
Farmer.
It's just, I think it was just felt safer to me to do that than risk taking cards from the market. But yeah, I mean, that was the wrong thing to do. I mean, it wasn't like a bad strategy game-wise, because I didn't come...
No, you're pretty close. All the games
behind than you. Yeah. But it's just not really playing the game. The point of the game is to just leave a lot of your cards in the discard pile and be buying new cards all the time, because that's like half the fun. It's
fascinating to me, actually, because I'm very much like I want all my cards back, except for... So there's this tactical element of when you play your cards, because you want to play your worst cards first.
Yeah.
Even though obviously when you get them back, you want to come out swinging. So it's like, because eventually your farmers will be less useful than everything else you have. So you want them like on the bottom, because you probably won't use them again or bother to pay for them.
Yeah.
But I'm very much that I wanted to buy most of my cards back, except for like the ones like, you know, maybe the farmers that I know I won't bother with or have better cards of. Whereas we played, when we finally got it 3 players with our friend, he was really interesting because he would never buy more than 1 or 2 extra cards, because you get 3 cards back.
That's true.
And he would only buy 1 or 2 more back. And he would never buy like 7 like I would and have like a big hand. It was really interesting that he did that.
A small hand, didn't
and it didn't affect him in any way. It didn't do really like better or worse, if you know what I mean.
No.
And another thing that I found really interesting was that aside from the last game, the scores have always been really similar.
Yeah.
And even you and Vahab were really close together in that game. And yet, like I said, you have all these different strategies with different people doing different things. Like in our second game, I basically became a perfumer because I was growing roses, then I was like duplicating the roses, then I was like making perfume for victory points and giving it to the pharaoh, I guess. And that was like my thing.
So
and I was like... And the cards all like played into each other, and this was like how I was getting farming points.
Yeah.
And then the next game, you know, you do something totally different. I was building towns, and like I was getting this, and I was getting that, and then I was like building a town with it and getting points that way.
Yeah.
And it's just quite interesting because, like I said earlier, certain games you will just not have components in play at all.
I think in the game that we played with 3-player, there was so much land still with crocodiles on, whereas in our previous game, both of us had gone and put farmers on a lot of the land and then sadly got rid of the crocodiles, which makes me real sad as a vegetarian. But anyway, whereas in the 3-player game, you'd think that you would get rid of more crocodiles from the land.
Yeah.
But we didn't. No. We just went for something completely different.
We just made like this big, huge, because everything's shared, like once it's on the borders for everyone. Yeah. So we made this big like infrastructure, like I guess region of like cities and towns and stuff.
Yeah. Left the crocs.
Yeah.
Chilling over in the other territories.
But I just find it really interesting that you have all these like, I guess if you're going to be cynical, you could say that at the end of the day, it's maybe not like all so different what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you have this kind of like, I don't know, you know, like little headcanon or meta, or just the way that you group things together, it can be interesting if you like yourself give it that interesting edge, like me, like making perfume and stuff like that.
That's true.
I think. So yeah, I mean, I think it goes both ways.
It definitely, like I said, grew on me in the second and third games when I leaned in more to the fact that there's cards to buy and that really, I suppose you should be buying cards more than taking cards back that you've played. I mean, you can always take a couple of cards back, but to lean into the new cards that come up is definitely more interesting. Yeah. So it for sure grew on me when I just stopped doing the same thing all the time, because that did get a bit boring. I just spotted on the box, it said, a strategic game for enthusiasts of planning games. I think that is a good description. You do have to plan because of this element of trying to get back your best cards when you do administration. So you want them to be on top. So you really have to consider in what order you do things. It's really important.
But there's also, I guess, an element of tactility, because you're always buying cards from the marketplace. And this is what I found interesting, because this would always almost seem to me like a game that could be decided by luck, and I'm sure it still could, because when what card comes up and how it fits into your strategy, and if you have the money to buy it, I think could turn a game, which is like down to luck.
Yeah.
But yet again, every game we've played, the scores have been real close.
That's true.
So I find that really interesting.
Yeah. My only slight criticism is that I have found it a bit long. Not that it's a really long game. It feels just too long for what it is, in my opinion.
I think that's fair.
Just by the end, I'm like,
I also think though, because we discussed this, right, that I think it's like one of those weird ones like Terraforming Mars, where it's shorter the more people you have, because you have more people doing administration more times, which moves the game along, because you get cards out of the market. And when you run out of cards, that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
So I think the problem is, at 2 players, it is extremely long. But I think if you had a full 5, it would just move so much quicker, because everyone, like, if you have 5 people buy 5 cards, it will take us 10 rounds to do that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Although we didn't find that much difference between 2 and 3.
I think it was a little bit shorter, but then it started getting longer. But I think that what helps it a bit as well is, you're right, but the turns are also very quick once you know what the cards do.
That's true.
Because people will just be like, slam, get this done, and you kind of move really quickly.
Sometimes it would get back round to my turn before I'd even thought about what I was doing, or finished taking money for the thing that I'd just done.
Yeah.
So that is really cool, that it's fast paced, but just goes on for a long time. It's not the end of the world, because it is fast paced. So it's not like you're sat there waiting.
But no,
for
I
ages
agree
for your
with that.
turn.
If it was just like that slight bit shorter, it'd be maybe a bit more tighter.
Yeah.
And then I guess my main criticism is that, in one hand, it's like makes it easy to teach, because you have all these unique cards, and you basically just say, look, you can do these 3 things on your turn. These 5 cards you start with, they do this. And then you just have at it, and you're like, honestly, if you want any more information, you're just going to have to look at what's in the marketplace and read the card wine list. But the problem is, so the criticism here is that they only give you 1 wine list for the cards.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you have 5 people and you have to pass, because every card is unique, so it's going to be an amount of time before people learn what they are.
And it's not entirely clear from symbology.
Symbology is not incredibly great. And also, if you just miss 1 word or forget 1 slight thing, it can really alter what a card does.
Yeah.
So that's it would have been much better if they had one of these wine lists for everyone, or even 2 or 3.
I think that is what adds on a bit of time, actually, is when someone
people have
is
to
waiting
sit
for
and
someone
read,
to buy in a card
especially when
from
it's
the
so
market.
quick, with turns.
Yeah, that's it. It can just slow it down a bit if someone's reading the list and going, what card should I buy? And reading it all, and then deciding if everyone had the list, they could just read it up themselves. It would be a bit quicker.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's like pros and cons, right? Because it's also you don't have to teach anything, because you can just give them the wine list.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's because literally, so I taught this to our friend Vahab, and it was honestly gotta be probably top 3 easiest.
You picked it up.
Easy, maybe it's just him in the game, but it was one of the easiest teachers I've ever done. Just because I said you can do these 3 things. Right?
Yeah.
And your farmers do this, your settlements do this, 2 rows does this. If you want anything else, you look at the wine list and buy from the marketplace. What's good is this is a bilingual edition, so it comes with German rules and wine lists. And because he's Austrian, we can just give him the German stuff.
Yeah, usually we find it a bit annoying and a waste of paper, actually, don't we, when it comes with multi-language things, because we just end up putting it straight in the recycling. But that was actually very handy. We have someone in the group that is a German speaker.
But and then honestly, it was just 3 minutes of explanation, and we were just playing, and there was minimal questions. There was no real issues. It was just on, and we had a great game. It was really fun.
Someone actually said that they'd heard it described as quite like Concordia, and I would agree with that. Actually, it's
I agree with that.
Quite similar, different setting, a few different things, but essentially it's about like buying the cards from the markets, playing them at the right time. So I think that's a fair comparison. So if you like Concordia, maybe you'll like Fire Emblem as well.
Yeah, I was surprised by how much I liked it because I really did not like Power Grid.
Yeah.
We did not get on with that at all.
I thought it was all right.
I just didn't find it very interesting at all.
No,
personally.
It's okay.
I just feel like we played it, and I just really felt like for it to maybe be like quite interesting, you need like 4 or 5 players, which I think I've seen like said online or whatever, 4, 5, 6. And I was just like, to be honest, I played it and I know enough of the game that it wouldn't be a game I'd get out if I had 6 people around.
Yeah.
Or 5 people. There'd be like much better games that I'd want to play with like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think it's, again, straddles on that line of being like semi-party game Power Grid, because you've got this auction element, which I find quite social and, you know, better with more people. But then it's on the wrong side of having to explain a bit of strategy to people. And if you've got 6 people, it's not a party game. Some elements of it feels like party and social, and then other elements are not. I think it's just on the wrong side of that. Yeah.
But anyway, so this is fine. I think it's very likely we will review it. And probably some of these other games like Tinner's Trail, maybe Summoner Wars. Yeah, let us know which ones you would want to see a full review. But yeah, I think I would quite like to review this personally just because I find it interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so that was the Crocodile Skin Handbag Award for crimes against crocodiles, which this game is very guilty of. But yeah, so that was the final game. So that was our monthly look back video for September. We really hope you enjoyed it and hope you enjoyed all the awards. Please let us know in the comments what you think of the games that we've discussed, or if you have any questions about them, we'd be really, really happy to answer. And if you're not subscribed to our channel already, we'd really appreciate it if you could do so. Our main content is board game reviews in less than 15 minutes. We usually try to aim for, but we do some other content like look back videos like this and list videos like best board games with 2 players, not specifically designed for 2. Oh my god, I can't speak. Yeah, I mean, you're not selling this. I've had this glass of wine. I'm so sorry. Usually it's not like this, so please subscribe. And if you like this video, we'd really, really appreciate it if you could give us a thumbs up. Everything that you interact with our videos helps us to grow our channel. So, thanks for watching. Thanks. Bye. See ya.